So today we're going to discuss the best and worst Apex Legends characters for controller players on PC. This discussion makes me miss playing on Xbox, since on Xbox I had more freedom to play different characters, since everyone on Xbox is on controller. Let's first cover the characters that give controller players an advantage. At the Split 2 playoffs in Sweden, according to Wikipedia, in the finals, 10 teams had at least one controller player, and 8 teams had exactly one controller player. These are the characters that those 8 controller players used in the final. 5 of the 8 primarily played Valkyrie, and 3 primarily played Caustic. So we are going to start off our conversation discussing why controller players have an advantage on these 2 characters. Advanced mouse and keyboard players often put jump on the scroll wheel so that they can easily wall bounce, but putting jump on the scroll wheel can cause Valkyrie to activate her jets, so this is one reason that some advanced mouse players didn't like playing Valkyrie when she was first released. Valkyrie greatly enhances a controller player's movement ability, thus turning that weakness for controller players into a strength, and a controller player can use Valkyrie's movement abilities to a similar level as a mouse player. Valk is the best legend for playing the high-low game, so you can jump down from height, fire at close range, and then use her jets to go back to height, or vice versa if you want to play low ground and attack a team on height. So those few seconds of firing at close range are better for controller players because of aim assist. Caustic gas slows down enemies, and enemies in his gas are highlighted, so this means Caustic has a major advantage fighting close range. Hence, pro teams like putting the controller player on Caustic, since it enhances the close range advantage that controller players already inherently have. Caustic is also typically playing closer to the main squad or inside a building, which limits the movement disadvantage of controller players. Before Valkyrie became meta, Bloodhound was the clear favorite choice of pro controller players. Pro teams typically put the controller player on Bloodhound for 3 reasons. First, Bloodhound's abilities are easy for controller players to operate. Second, when he is in his ultimate, his movement ability is increased, which turns a weakness for controller players into a strength. Third, Bloodhound is extremely good at fighting close range when in his ultimate, which is beneficial for controller players. It also used to be that using Bloodhound's ultimate increased your aim sensitivity, which was easier for controller players to deal with than mouse players. After some patches, this is less of an issue now. Mirage isn't a meta character, but also has an advantage for controller players. First, to maximize Mirage's abilities, he tends to fight close range, which is better for controller players. The opponent tends to have a split second of hesitation when playing against Mirage because he isn't sure if it is a decoy. This magnifies the advantage that controller players have in one-clipping people with an SMG at close range. His ultimate confuses opponents, which helps to negate a controller player's lack of movement ability. It is also harder for a mouse player to detect a Mirage decoy. A controller player can feel which is the real Mirage via aim assist, but a mouse player doesn't have that option. Wraith is also a decent character for controller players since she often finds herself in close range fights. Wraith is a good character to play for a strong fragger, which is typically the role for a controller player at high levels of play. Now let's discuss some characters that have a clear disadvantage for controller players. It is easier for mouse players to stick someone with Fuse's tactical ability, which means he is better used in the hands of a mouse and keyboard player. Also, Fuse cannot use his abilities as effectively at close range, which is a major negative for controller players. In the case of Pathfinder and Octane, their movement abilities are easier to maximize for a mouse and keyboard player. Both Pathfinder and Octane are good characters for tap strafing, which is much easier to perform on mouse and keyboard. Lastly, Bangalore's Smoke can remove aim assist, which makes her a below average choice for a controller player. In contrast, Caustic's gas doesn't remove aim assist for a controller player on that legend. So in conclusion, 5 characters that give controller players an advantage on PC are Valkyrie, Caustic, Bloodhound, Mirage, and Wraith. Characters that place controller players at a disadvantage on PC are Fuse, Pathfinder, Octane, and Bangalore. Let me know in the comments section which characters you think are the best or worst for controller players on PC. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe.
I'm in the next ring. Ooh, maybe time for a snack. One last squad. Attention. Made it this far. No trouble. Wins out. Recharging shields. I just kicked the champion's ass. No biggie. Radar shows the charging up my shields. It's out. 30 left on the clock, and I'm almost to the ring. Rings up. No